So what was your first experience on a computer?
On any computer ever?
Any computer, any console, any computer.
Okay, so I think probably when I was about 5 or 6, my mum had a computer that she used to make menus and stuff for the hotel that she ran. I remember playing demos on that, demos that were on a floppy disk. So I'm not entirely sure what computer it was. I think it was probably an old IBM or something like that. And I remember it crashing frequently, and every time it crashed, I thought that I broke it, so I'd cry and wail and be really, really upset. Yeah, it was quite traumatising.
Which other computers do you remember? Really early computers?
I remember seeing stuff like, because my dad ran an electric repair shop, and now and again he'd get in stuff like Amstrad CPCs, bits and bobs like that. I remember he had an Amiga, it must have been a 500, in a couple of times. And it was always stuff like, someone had spilled coffee over it or something and he needed to fix it, so transistors and resistors and all that kind of thing. But yeah, at the time, because I was so young, I didn't really have any interest in them. They were just something else that my dad was fixing, really. So that's not a very good anecdote. So there you go.
It's unique, though. What was the very first game that you actually got into? You thought, I'm going to have to play this again and again and again. So
I think that would probably be Earthworm Jim 2, I think, possibly. That was on my mum's PC. And it came with a floppy disk, I think, so it would have been quite old. But yeah, I was maybe 7 or 8, and I remember the game being so insanely difficult that I don't think I ever really got past the 3rd level. And I thought it was just because I was a kid and I was crapping it, but I actually played it again recently, and it's rock hard. So I don't feel quite so bad about that. But yeah, that's a really good game. That game has really stood the test of time as well. So it's pretty awesome that that's like one of my first ever gaming experiences, and it's still a great game today. And what do you play today? Is it retro-ish or is it more modern day stuff? To be fair, I mostly play modern stuff when I'm wanting to sort of sit down and do a proper gaming session. If I just want to, if I've just got 20 minutes before I need to go out or do something, then I'll put on the Speccy, because I've got a DivMC card loader thing, so that makes it a lot easier for me. What I like to do is just find a random Spectrum game on the SD card, something that I just have no idea what it might be, and then just play that. So I'm definitely more of a modern gamer, more interested in the retro style stuff, and it's much more fun to make videos about them as well, because they have a lot of history and they're kind of like the where gaming started, really. Are you a massive fan of Horace? I think you are. Not really. No, what happened with Horace was that basically when I started my YouTube channel, it was just a vlogging channel to stop me from having a mental breakdown. And my little brother bought a ZX Spectrum off eBay before I knew I was going to start doing proper gaming reviews. And he sent me a photograph of the game that he got with it, which was Horace Goes Skiing, and we just thought it was so hilarious. This character, it was just this hideous head on legs with like a little arm thing. We just thought it was so funny. We became just obsessed with him, like joking about him, sending texts to each other with pictures of him and stuff in stupid situations. And that's where I kind of got the idea to make him into a character from, because he's so funny. I mean, look at the state of him. He's so good. So even though I don't think the games are especially awesome, I still think there's a lot of charm in the character and the fact that he's so utterly hideous. But I really enjoyed making him into this character that's a bit of a knobhead, but he's quite enjoyable and he's quite sweet, really, as well in his own right. But yeah, he'll be appearing in my videos probably indefinitely, I expect, because people seem to love him. Every time he's in a video, people love it. I got Hungry Horace for Christmas one year. And then I got Horace Goes Skiing the year after. But I liked how his games are completely different. They're not just extrapolations on the original one. It's not like Hungry Horace 2. He's literally going out and doing something else, running across a 4-lane motorway because he's an absolute psychopath, spending 12 quid on skis. Yeah, or was it 8? Quite cheap skis. To be honest, I've played it for a while. It's an incredibly frustrating game as Horace Goes Skiing. That first bit. My sister could do it straight away. My sister was about 4. just get the joystick down straight across, no traffic, straight up. Me, I'm like, oh, Jesus. Yeah. It's that traffic scene that just it fills me with so much anxiety. I can't explain it. I really can't, because the motorbikes especially, they're quite random in the way that they move. So you'd be like, oh, It's terrifying.
The bit I can never understand is even if you get run over by the ambulance, it still charges you for picking it up. It's already there.
It's so good. I really love that.
You say you've got the SD card reader for your Spectrum.
Yeah.
And you pick maybe random games each time.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any game that you found that you thought, I'm going to go and play that again?
Yes, but it's not a retro game. It's a game that somebody made in 2015 called Final Fight, and it's just two jellyfish with guns, and all you do is press the spacebar and then jump and then shoot, and it brings me to tears. It's the shittest thing I've ever played, but it's so funny because the jellyfish are so cute, but they've got guns and they just shoot. Oh, it's so good. Every time I play it I just cry with laughter, so I think that's the one that I go back to, weirdly enough. I mean, there's games that I go back to, obviously, a lot when I'm reviewing them, and I like to play them on the original hardware as well, rather than emulate them. Although the capture footage is usually emulated, but I do play it on the original hardware when I'm doing the initial review. So yeah, there's a couple of games that I've gone back to after I've reviewed them. Jet Set Willy is one of them, because I'm just so determined to friggin' beat that, but I just keep getting annihilated. So I'm really bad at those kind of games. Anything that's a side-on game on the Spectrum where you have to jump over things, I'm just crap at it. I get into this phase where I become like, I'll get so good at it, and then because I'm so good at it, I get cocky, and that's when I lose. So.
Do you have a lot of original hardware?
Not a lot, no. I've got an Amiga 500, Amstrad CPC, and the ZX Spectrum, obviously. All three of them were gifts from fans. I don't really have anything else aside from that. You know, I've got the kind of 90s consoles, but in terms of the computers, I haven't really looked into it that much because I think that that's an area that's covered very much by Retro Man Cave, Nostalgia Nerdy, those kind of people. But I am really interested, and I am going to look into it. It's just that, I mean, I've been working on a script for the Amiga computers for about 3 months now. There's so much information, and that's the problem with like most computers. There's so much info that you need to get into the review about it. So I don't really have the time quite yet to sort that out. But I do want to start picking up some more computers, definitely, and a Commodore 64.
When you think of gaming, do you have like an iconic image that you think of primarily? Do you have a logo, or do you have a loading screen, or a character?
Not really. I mean, yeah. I mean, when people say gaming, I kind of either automatically think of arcades, or I think of Call of Duty, because like that's the arcade stuff is what real proper gaming is. But then you get the Call of Duty players who only play that and then call themselves gamers, which is fine, you know. I mean, I sound like a gatekeeper now, but I guess it's interesting to have those two entirely different views of what it is. I suppose gaming's a lot of things, isn't it?
Help settle something for everyone. Commodore 64, Amstrad, or Spectrum?
You know what? The only thing about the Amstrad that I like is the fact that you could easily use it to batter someone to death. That's the only thing. Like, you could properly hold it like a baseball bat and just go to town. That's the only thing I really like about it. So I appreciate the Commodore 64 had better graphics, but I still like the Spectrum too much. I really like how kind of homebrewy it is, and how there's thousands of games for it, and yeah, it's interesting. It's classic, and it lasted a long time as well.
And what's your same thoughts on the Atari ST versus the Amiga?
Oh God, that's a tough question, isn't it? You're going to be really careful about how you answer that one.
That's really divided opinion.
Yeah, I think I might go with the Amiga. Only because I have an Amiga, I don't have an Atari computer. I am going to have one, apparently. As soon as I move, I'm going to get hold of one. My Amiga 500 is bloody huge. No, I'll go with Amiga.
Amiga?
Yeah.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Excellent.